So I wanted to come out and talk about something that I think annoys everyone. We're going to land in a world where remakes, reboots are just the way movies are made now. We don't like it, tough. You get series that pop out of movies. It's all about what happened before, nothing new. Why are there new ones? So there's a lot of reasons for that. Now let's before I get too far into it, I want to apologize for the background. I did do an AI background. I didn't want to violate any copyright of any movie, so it's all made up. Um, the reason Hollywood does this stuff is it's all about risk. So if you're a company and you're doing something new, if you're a startup company, if you're a movie company, if you're whatever company you are, you're not going to do something that you have to put $500 million on the line and say, "Ooh, that's a giant pile of risk, yay!" Unless the upside is massive, right? So, you know, when you see remakes and reboots, it's because of that risk. Now, where does that risk come from? And 20 years ago, 10 years ago, they would have taken it. Wait, what's changed? Well, let's say you're Paramount, pick a studio, it doesn't matter, they're all the same, and you want to make a movie that costs $50 million to film and produce and get ready to go, and then you got to spend another $50 million on marketing. That's $100 million you spent, and you at least want to break even or better, right? You don't go into business to lose money. That's not the way it works. And 10, however long ago it was, we still had physical media. If you didn't make your money back on the theatrical release, okay, we still have a DVD VHS release on the back end of that, so we can take that risk, because we'll still make it back over there. You don't have that anymore. You go straight to streaming in no time flat, and that's another problem that happens in Hollywood right now and has for a while. Wasn't quite as bad pre-COVID, but it's really bad now. Something hits the theater, it does not stay there very long. It hits the theater and it's gone in 2-3 weeks. It does not stick around very long because the streaming release is coming up super crazy fast. Sometimes the streaming release is in parallel with the theatrical release because you and I are not going to the theater in the numbers we used to, partially because there's nothing but remakes and reboots and political stuff being thrown around. I get that. Okay. But Hollywood's going to go where they know they can break even or better because they are fundamentally a business. They're not in the business of losing money. They're in the business of making money. That's why you go into business. Actors might be a different story, producers might be a different story, but the people at the top, at the production companies, they're bottom line kind of people. And they manage by spreadsheet, whether that's good or bad, that's what they do. So you've got this problem where you've got a shrinking theatrical release, where you're not going to get as many people to go. Ticket prices are higher, so yeah, there's movies doing more box office than ever, but it's because those ticket prices are higher. And if you look at it, it's all across sort of 3 weekends, and the total global population is higher. So sure, more people go because there's more people, but the odds of them making that money back, because production costs have also risen. I mean, you never used to see multi-$100 million movies that were musicals, right? Which we just had Snow White, which was essentially at its heart and soul a musical. Um, and 200 plus million, was 200 and something $1 million, and then another couple hundred on marketing. That thing has to make $500 million to break even. It's not going to do it. So you've got this problem in that production costs are up, theatrical release is down, physical media is gone for the most part, and you don't really make that much back on streaming. So you're going to go to remakes and reboots. You're going to go to thing that has an audience appeal that says, "Hey, look, there is an audience for this because uh, the original Lethal Weapon did well, so now we're on Lethal Weapon 17, or the original Rocky did well, so now we're on Rocky whatever." Because they don't want to, they want to remove that risk from the release. So that's why we're not seeing too much new stuff. And if you do see new stuff, it's really low budget, because that removes the risk out of that equation. And some of those low budget things are fantastic. So, if you're expecting a $200 million blockbuster that's completely original and never been seen before, it's not going to happen. You're going to see it over on the indie side or on the very small budget side, in the modern market. It sucks, but that's what it is. If people start going to movie theaters again, that'll change. But that's not really been the case because it is expensive now to go to a theater. I got a family. I got three kids. I take three kids to movies. I'm up over 100 and something bucks by the time we get snacks. I mean, it's not cheap, right? It's expensive to go to a movie. And as economic problems hit, it gets worse. During COVID, it was like zero, right? So it's not going to change. Lamenting why Hollywood's not doing it. Well, that's why. I mean, they're not going to touch it. The same thing is going on in the publishing houses, right? So I'm a big fan of, always have been a big fan of Tom Clancy books. Tom Clancy passed away. He's still writing books. Other people are writing under his name because that's easier to market. There's less risk. You work in the Jack Ryan universe. There's fans for that. Robert Ludlum is still producing Jason Bourne books. He passed away probably 20 years ago now. Might have been more than that. But that's why it's these companies are out there. They're not. I mean, yeah, they're there to entertain, but they're also there to make money. So they're not going to purposefully go in and lose money. Although I would stand to listen to arguments about Snow White and almost being on purpose, but it okay, it really wasn't. I think they intended to make money with it, and they absolutely just messed it up. Somebody just screwed up completely. Lots of people actually screwed up completely on that one, but we'll let that part go. But that's why you've got movies that are they're taking risk out. So as a result, you get this rechurn similar stuff over and over and over again, and that's why I think some of the best stuff I've seen recently has been relatively low budget stuff that was kind of produced to go straight to streaming without theatrical release, right? So they do it kind of inexpensively and they throw it on a streaming channel, and it's pretty good stuff. Apple TV's got a couple of them that I'm a huge fan of. That were totally original. Mythic Quest being one, Shrinking being another. Both excellent streaming series. Totally original, totally character driven, not expensive to put together. That's the kind of stuff you're going to see. So you're not going to see a $200 million, ooh, let's take a risk and go off and make something new. It's not going to happen. But it's because we don't have that safety net of the physical media release anymore because you're not going to make that much money on streaming. So I hope that clears it up. If you agree with me, leave a comment. If you disagree with me, scream at me. That's fine. Leave that comment too. I'm happy to discuss it. But it's not going to change. If you want something original, you're going to have to look at low budget stuff. That's just the only place you're going to find it. I hope everybody has a great weekend. It's kind of a dreary, rainy one here in Dallas, but sometimes those are fun. So I'm going to be inside all weekend reading a book, as they say. I'm actually reading Clear and Present Danger by Tom Clancy. So we'll see everybody on the next video. Have a great weekend.